Good morning to you. It's the day after Thanksgiving, the day that's called Black Friday. I don't know, that sounds so grim, doesn't it? But all kinds of crazy people going to be out there at the stores. This is the one day of the year for sure I do not shop. So it is Friday, November 25th, 2022, going on 7 a.m. from the East Coast of the United States. Rainy day out there today. I've got a packet of Splenda here, and I've got maybe 3.5 ounces of 30 calorie per cup almond milk. And I am going to froth up some milk here. And let me get my, okay, this is my Pixie here, my original line Nespresso. And I am going to mix 2 espressos this morning. I'm going to do cocoa truffle and raspberry. Oh my gosh. To me, that's like the super duper winner that Nespresso's come out with in several years here. This raspberry is amazing. I feel sorry for you if you don't care for raspberry because, oh my gosh, it's so incredible. But you know, different people have different tastes. Some people don't enjoy raspberry. Well, so I know that I like both of these espressos in milk. In general, I like most coffees in a good amount of milk. There are a few that taste better just black, but for the most part, I enjoy the milk. And I know that I like it a little sweetened, so that's why I put the Splenda in here. I could have used equal. I didn't want to do that because sometimes when you heat up equal, it loses its sweetness. Okay, so here we go. And I'll tell you what I could have done. I could have used some skinny syrup, but sometimes if I have too much of that, it can cause just some gastric upsets. So it doesn't always agree with me that well. So I try not to overdo it. Okay, so we'll start off with the cocoa truffle. So how was your Thanksgiving yesterday? Mine was more than perfect, better than perfect. I started off the day walking a 5K, came in first in my age group. I was the only one in my age group. But hey, you know what? I showed up, I did it, and I beat my time from last month's 5K that I participated in by 4.5 minutes. How about that? That's an accomplishment. Okay, in goes the raspberry. So, you know, the point is, you can't win if you don't show up, right? You can't succeed if you don't try. So I'm very proud. I wore my t-shirt from the race and my medal all day. I was home alone, but I just felt so proud. And I watched the 1956 version of Godzilla King of Monsters, which is really, it's very interesting, and it's a real hoot also, because basically, I just got to tell you about, oh, look at that. Doesn't that look nice? The Japanese made this movie with a totally Japanese cast in Japan, of course. And then it was Americanized for this country. The Americans took Raymond Burr, who used to be Perry Mason on TV in the 1950s and 60s, and they refilmed certain snippets of scenes with him and Japanese body doubles for the people that were in the original film. And then they dropped these scenes in various places in the movie, so it appeared that he was the main character. Very interesting. And all of the old cars and just, all kinds of old stuff. Things I never noticed as a kid, of course. I mean, back then it wasn't old to me, it was new, but like the fabrics that a lot of the Japanese people wore, their homes, traditional homes, and the way the cities looked, just really, really interesting. And yeah, it was a lot of fun watching it. Didn't remember anything I realized about the movie except for Godzilla, who you don't see very often in the movie either. And yeah, so it was kind of neat seeing that again and seeing it from the perspective of somebody who is probably 50 or 60 years older than the last time I saw the movie. Okay, so the raspberry. Wow. Alrighty. This is very nice. Now, okay, so here's a little bit of a problem. I'm tasting the raspberry. It needs to have a little more chocolate. What do I have? Let me see here. Okay. I have a new container of this Hershey's Dark Cocoa. Now, of course, it's hard to get this to disperse itself into the coffee, but I'm going to give it a try. We'll see what happens. Usually it works out. Well, it does do better in something hot, and this is hot. We'll see how we do here. Because one thing I do not want is to take a sip and have little clumps of this bitter cocoa. This is unsweetened cocoa. So let's see how this does. Okay, this is better. You know what? I have part of a Splenda package here from the other day. I'm gonna add that in to sweeten it a little bit more. By the way, so you can tell, let me turn the other light on here, what kind of coffee I'm into these days. Lot of raspberry up there. So, yep, I've learned that when something comes out that I like, I need to go ahead and stock up. All right. Oh, now this is very nice. But you know what? Now, this is my personal opinion. This is nice. I like the raspberry coffee if I add, say, like chocolate syrup of some type to it. But actually, I feel like I'm not going to do this again. I don't want to mess with that raspberry flavor at all. Not with another coffee. Because there's something about the coffee flavors, the natural coffee flavors, in that cocoa truffle that, to me, take away a little bit from the raspberry coffee. Let me try it again. This is good, but you know what? When your tongue is expecting something, and I guess I was expecting more raspberry, your tongue can be disappointed. So this is good, this is nice, but I think in the future, if I'm gonna have the cocoa coffee, I'll have the cocoa truffle. If I'm gonna have the raspberry, I'm gonna have the raspberry. I'm not gonna mingle the two together. So I hope that you have a lovely day. I hope that you don't feel pressure to go really crazy buying things and stuff. You know, one of the things besides people overindulging in food and drink during this time of the year is kind of overindulging in spending money and then having all the bills come in January, and then it's not a happy new year. So be prudent, and as I always say, make good choices.